If you have just started to play Dune Awakening, or maybe you have gotten to the mid-game but you struggle with really long travel times in between doing the fun stuff and getting back to your base, then this video is for you and it might save you a lot of, well, time and frustration. I should mention that even though this video is very light on spoilers, there are some, especially in regards to the map, since I will be showing most of it. Most survival games, including Funcom's own Conan Exiles, have taught us that we have to grind for materials to build a base, and moving base is a big hassle and a very expensive endeavor. So it is very easy to fall into the trap of old survival gaming habits, thinking you need that permanent spot as soon as possible in Dune Awakening as well. What I think a lot of players do, myself included, when leaving Haga basing, is to start look for that special spot. Maybe even search on Google or YouTube. And if you do, what most guides will tell you is that somewhere about here, the northern part of Amelia's Gap is the perfect spot. It's a great place in the endgame, because Funcom did something very smart. Even endgame, you need resources from most parts of the map. So most of the map actually stays relevant, or at least somewhat relevant, throughout the whole game. At least when it comes to resource gathering. And this spot is dead center with possibilities to somewhat safely drive your buggy across the gap north and west for late game minerals. But you really shouldn't place your base here. Not right now anyway. Dune Awakening actually tried to give the player a hint how the correct play is in terms of base building very early on by giving a quest to abandon the old base in Haga Basin, and also another quest and tools to copy and paste your base designs. The problem is that if you settle at this perfect endgame location, the location that every YouTube guide will recommend you, right away after crossing from Haga Basin south, then the game will quickly turn into a travel simulator and will stay that way until you reach the ornithopter. You will be spending a lot more time just trying to get across from here to here to here to here, and not only does it take a lot of time, it feels like a very close call. There are several spots with drum sand and steep inclination where you lose a lot of speed. In other words, you are always only a few seconds away from becoming worm free, meaning to avoid that you will probably opt for the booster for your sandbag instead of the trunk. And that equals even more travel back and forth in between doing something useful. The reason is very simple. Most of the stuff you need to do and gather to progress through the early mid-game is around here, the anvil and up north. If you want to progress the story and faction quests, it's around here. You want to start working towards getting a buggy? You really should. The buggy makes a huge difference in terms of material gathering and stays relevant the whole game. Also, a lot easier from around here. Time for a short break to ask you to like the video and maybe subscribe as well, at least if you like the content that is. Like and subscription ratio is a really important metric for how hard YouTube push videos to new audience, so it really helps the channel grow. Anyway, once you get the buggy and you start working towards getting that ornithopter, is now the time to settle in that center location? Well, no. When you have the buggy, this place might no longer be a travel simulator in terms of gathering materials, but it sure still is in terms of doing quests. If you plan to rush the ornithopter, and that's a valid strategy, then sure, by all means move to that central location that most guides recommend, but if you plan to take your time enjoying quests and playing through the game, if you plan to progress the main quests and faction quests, those are really good by the way, then it's a lot easier and better to be close to the materials you need, but also to your quests. And most of your quests at this point will be in and around Haga Rift and the materials you need in Haga Rift and up in the eastern shield wall. And that is still quite far from the northern part of western Vermilius Gap. So don't be afraid to move your base as you progress through the game. It will make the game a lot more fun and a lot less a sandbike travel simulator. And the thing is, it's not even expensive or time consuming to do so. On the contrary, the game is designed for you to do it. Building parts are dirt cheap. Equipment for your base is cheap. Maybe not the endgame machinery, but everything you will build early to mid-game really is. You also get 100% of the materials back when you deconstruct. You don't have to grind for base materials. You grind for your vehicles, armor, weapons, and those are not hard to bring with you. And don't bring scrap metal or stone when you move. There is no point since it takes only a few minutes to farm up enough on the new location. And process your materials before moving. If you do this, then early game you can probably bring everything of real value in one single run in the trunk of the sandbike, and when you move mid-game you can most likely get everything of value in one go with the buggy. And if you save that elaborate build up a cliffside for late game and settle for something that can be placed on flat ground, then you can even copy and paste your design. By all means, go right up to the center and put down a Sun Thief to claim a spot for later, but don't make the same mistake I did and try to settle down there right away. And I should also mention that moving your base early to mid game is not really even a time loss, since you most likely want to rebuild anyway once you get your hands on those faction specific building parts. Well, that was everything for this video. Hope you liked it. In regards to what you can expect going forward in terms of Dune Awakening content on my channel, I plan to do guides mixed with Let's Builds. I have a lot of Let's Builds on my channel for a game called Enshrouded, and I hope to do something similar in Dune Awakening, even though the building system in Dune Awakening is a lot more restricted than that in Enshrouded. So, well, hope to see you in future videos. Cheers!